You doing? How you doing, everybody? This is Soapbox Heroes. My name is Tyrone Irvin. Again, I am here. I am here with wonderful news. I have wonderful, wonderful news for thine ears to hear. Everybody in terrestrial land, I have a wonderful treat for you. If you're watching over on YouTube, if you watch later, I am here with the one and only Cynthia McKinney. Yes, Cynthia McKinney. She was the first black woman elected in Georgia as a congresswoman, if I'm not mistaken, 6 times elected. And I was telling her just a bit earlier, it's not just her I appreciate, it's her courage. So everybody, we have Cynthia McKinney here with us. Cynthia, how are you today?
And I'm happy to be a part of the Soapbox Heroes channel.
Yes, and I am happy. I am so happy to have you here. I have to get the visual right, but we'll work through that. I'm just happy to have you here. And so, Cynthia, I have been an admirer of yours for a long time. And like I said, I just want to tell you again in person and on the air that I admire your courage and the conviction in what you do. And here, let's start like this. Let's tell everybody a little bit about you, Cynthia. You're Cynthia McKinney, 6-time Congresswoman, and let's go from there. Let's let everybody know who you are.
Well, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
because I've spent so much time doing stuff that you don't take adequate, sort of stock of what it is that you do because you're so busy.
Right.
But I started out, sort of my political awareness was honed from the civil rights movement. So I am of that era. And as a result of that, it taught me the value of participation and activism. Because, of course, in the civil rights movement, there were accomplishments that were won. And the lesson was that whenever we come together and we have an agenda and we fight for that agenda, we win.
Yes.
And so you can put that in stark contrast to sort of activism without mission, activism without vision, and activism without an agenda that I see taking place in large measure in today.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that was one thing. And then after that, my dad believed that it was insufficient for us to ask for public policy changes, that we should put ourselves in a position to make public policy changes.
Oh, wow.
And so then that went from protesting and asking to the passage of the Voting Rights Act, which allowed us to actually participate and make public policy. So my dad ran for office several times. And before the passage of the Voting Rights Act was just basically impossible for a Black candidate to run and win, especially one who was handpicked by the community and not handpicked by outsiders of the community. And so after the passage of the Voting Rights Act, my dad was elected, and then, of course, set the stage for me later on to serve in the Georgia legislature with him, and then move on to Congress.
Wow. So you got to serve in the legislature with your father. What kind of experience was that to be able to go to work and have someone who cares about you and give you some information? What's some information that he gave you when you first got there, Cynthia?
Well, one thing that he said, I at that time, the matter of the Georgia flag, which had the St. Andrew's cross on it, which is a Confederate flag, Confederate battle flag. And even though it's still, today's Georgia flag still harkens to the Confederacy, it's not as blatant and and as in your face,
right in your face,
as was the St. Andrew's cross.
right.
So anyway, I was writing an article about the decision that was made after the Brown versus Board of Education decision to put the St. Andrew's cross on the Georgia state flag. And my dad told me, he said, Cynthia, they put their pants on just like you do. Was very instructive because,
Okay.
you know, they lionized these people who had been there forever in the Georgia legislature.
Okay.
And the same goes for Congress as well. These people are lionized.
Okay.
And you think that, you know, they really do have a roar. You think that they're superior in every way. And then you find out that you can out strategize them. You can outthink them.
Yes. Yes. They're human.
You know, and so if you can marshal your resources, you can actually have a public policy victory despite them.
Okay.
So that was one of the real good lessons that my dad taught me, and I think it carries over even today. So that the attitude that I took to Congress was that whether it was Nancy Pelosi or Steny Hoyer, or it really didn't matter to me, because they put their pants on just like I did.
Just like you.
Well,
so
that got me into a lot of trouble.
Yes, yes. You know what, Cynthia? Let's talk a little bit about that trouble. When you first, and I've read and I've heard you mention, when you first got elected, you got some sort of pledge from the military of Israel or something of that nature. What was that all about? You get there and you get a fax. What was that about?
Well, it really was about pulling me in line with the other 434 members of Congress, members of the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Well, I should say the 534 other members of the U.S. Congress, because basically there's 100% agreement about the role that the United States should play, must play in the life and vitality of the state of Israel, no matter how the Israelis might treat the Palestinians. Doesn't matter. And so, well, it didn't matter to the other 534.
Yes. To everyone else aside from you.
It mattered to me.
Yes.
And so that was another set of enemies I met.
And this is right on arrival. Right on arrival. So you're making.
That's right. That's right.
So you're making enemies.
So here's the thing.
Go ahead.
The lesson. See, this was before I arrived. This is in the process of attempting to arrive, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. By the time your member of Congress is sworn in, they've already been bought off by the powers that be. So, in order for you to have an impact on the policy decisions of your representative, the ideal situation is for you to attempt to become the representative. Because otherwise, if your representative is an incumbent, I'm sorry, but they've already been up there, become accustomed to the way business is done, which is basically you have to love the special interest before you're even allowed to love your own constituents.
Hey, this was also brought to you by Fred Hoyer and Bayway Lincoln. Hey, if you in a bucket, if you got smoke coming out the tailpipe, your check engine light is blinking, and you constantly thinking, I need a new Lincoln, hit Fred Hoyer up. Tell him Tyrone sent you, and he gonna give you you're not gonna just leave with a car. You're gonna leave with a TV too, so you can watch this on your tube. Hey, Fred Hoyer and Bayway Lincoln. Holler at him. Peace.